Yeah, it's I think it's one of those things. If there is strong wind, sometimes there is that westward moving current. Well, I better get started. Good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David, and we have excellent radio conditions today. Everybody has been coming in rather well. So we've got a bunch of you closing on Minerva. We have the Rum Coco Fusio race north, which Rum Coco seems to be winning at the moment. And quite a few folk enjoying these nice, fresh east-southeast winds. So good conditions, really. A bit sloppy in the sea by the look of it, but oh well, that's just to remind you that you're now out again in the ocean.
You're in the ocean.
Yeah, in the ocean. And we are sitting here peacefully enjoying a beautiful morning again. 18 degrees. It's absolutely lovely conditions here. And even in Whangarei, it's 14, which is not too bad. It is cloudy. In fact, we had a bit of pink sky, but it's pretty light cloud. 1027.4 and steady on the bar. And our northerly is, per courtesy of you people up there, it's 3 knots from the northeast. So not much here, which is why we've got these magnificent autumn tree colours. The leaves are just hanging in there. I guess we'll get it at some stage. All right, just a bit of an update on where boats are. Nessa Troy, Diego and Marina they've got wind from the east, they reckon. 15 knots overcast, and they're on their way to Anisham or Anatom, 25:43, 171, 10 degrees east, so fairly light there. Pilgrim, I was just talking to, they're hoping, well, we'll see what happens if they get into South Minerva today, but they've got 15 to 18 east-southeast with a 1.5 to occasional 2 metre swell, steady bar. And where is Fusio? Fusio is behind Rum Coco. They've got 25 knots of east wind, squally. They're doing 8 knots, so God knows what Rum Coco's doing. 2237 south and 17656 east. So they're making good progress there as well. Mezzaluna is further south at 2631, 17949 west. So they've crossed over the magic line with an east-southeast of 18 to 23 knots. Lumpy seas, 1.5 to 2. It seems to be pretty steady all the way through, thanks to that fairly slow-moving high. It is slow-moving, isn't it? Oh, I shouldn't say things like that. I'm going outside of my area of expertise. So anyway, that's a bit of an... Yeah, it looked like the streaming hiccuped a bit there, but anyway, it seems to be all back in progress at the moment. All right, is there anybody wanting to check in with Gulf Harbour Radio? Now it's a good time. Nothing heard. I presume another adventure has got up to Port Vila. That was a pretty straightforward trip from Erromango there. So we've got people in different places scattered throughout. And I got an email from Flying Fish. His Jeffrey's repairs are a little bit slow, but things are progressing there. Unfortunately, Richard, the guy that does the rocket guide, is not in Noumea at the moment, but when he gets back, he'll be looking him up. Okay, a few bits of news for you. WinLink users, there are a couple of stations that you really need to know about. The ZL1SEA. Now, that's pretty easy to remember, isn't it? ZL1C is a very good station, according to Diego. He's got a couple of antennas in different spots. So update your WinLink. I tried to do that, and I can't remember how to do it. But I am going to get instructions from Diego today, and I will let you know tomorrow. And it's really stupid. I mean, that is quite an important thing. And yet you go through the WinLink help. I've looked up U for update, S for station, so on and so forth. I can do the list, I can update the list, but I cannot seem to update the stations. So they certainly make that very difficult, and yet that's rather an important feature. Anyway, it's ZL1C and ZL2RS, which is also strong too. And Diego says you can download pretty big weather files, so that's quite useful because they're good and quick. So if you want to do that, and I've got a message here from Max as well, that he has done some more low bite weather products, and as soon as those are finalized, I'll let you know on that. And that I can do because you just go to WinLink 2K under catalogs global and update the list, but we'll talk about that when it's all finalized. Another bit of news, Alcyon, who are really struggling to get to Ryva Bay because of weather conditions, but they're rather pleased that a couple of their vegetables are doing rather well. So just a reminder for those still in port, those cucumbers that are wrapped in plastic, I can't remember what they call them, but anyway, they last a very long time, and so does red cabbage and carrots. These new season carrots are pretty good too and very tasty. Okay, a couple of things to help us. If you email us, please put your boat name in the subject. There is quite a lot of mail coming in, and it's pretty, everything ends up in one box with us, so it would help, particularly if we have to look back, to make sure you have your boat name in the subject. Doesn't even matter if you're just calling in to say hello. Boat name in the subject, and if you need some advice, say where you are going, your departure date, and your arrival date. We're not mind readers. We really do. I mean, I know you probably think you've told us once before, but there's a lot of stuff coming in, and unless we have that in front of us, it's very frustrating. So your boat name, departure date proposed, and your ETA, so that we know how long and what you've looked at to come up with that. Okay, boats. I don't think there'll be people leaving Thursday, Friday-ish, but there is a race on, a two-handed race. Leaves from Auckland, goes to the Four Nights, comes back again. It's a qualifying race, actually, if the boats want to do the Triple Series and the Round North Island race next year. So they will be screaming along, probably tired, only one person on. So just make sure you have a good watch if you're leaving Whangarei area or Apua area this Thursday and Friday. Oh, and some news for the Royal Watchers. It's a boy. Meghan and Harry have had a boy. No further details at this stage. Of more importance, the stock markets, for those of you who are living on investments, they have taken a dive. Actually, the Dow dropped 400 points. President Trump, and this is the first time I've mentioned President Trump this year, so we've got this is our 6th day. That's a record. Anyway, he's decided to, in one of his famous tweets, he's going to raise the tariffs on their $200 billion worth of Chinese goods. He's going to raise them from the current 10% to 25%, which is rather significant, unless they come to some sort of deal on the negotiations they're having over the next week. I think the Chinese are likely to pull out of those by what other people are saying, but anyway, that's what is going to happen if there is no agreement reached on the bilateral trade. And talking about the US, they are sending a huge force. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group and a bomber task force are on their way to the Middle East. Iran is flexing its muscles again, and so there's going to be a bit of strife potentially in the Middle East. Boy, what with the Middle East and China, goodness gracious me. Anyway, that's about it for news, actually. I haven't had too much. I was so busy trying to work out how to update my WinLink that I didn't get to do too much reading, but there's not an awful lot of excitement, I would have to say, in the news at the moment. So things are, oh, here's Frank has come in on it. He is in Vila, and he's got light showers, and he's got a temporary clearance. Oh, he had a temporary clearance in Port Resolution, and then he's going to do the rest of it this morning, the usual run around the side there of the harbour. And up there at Port Vila, the wind is only 2 knots of east-southeast, quite cloudy, 90%, and 1011.
Never the same outside.
It's at the same outside, isn't it?
Never the same.
Oh, never the same outside.
Protect.
Okay. On mutterings from the side here. Okay. And good morning to Scoots and Makushla and Citrus Tart up there in Opua. All right. No, John, this is a different one. Exocet Strike. Sorry, getting my Johns confused here. All right. Is there anybody wanting anything or making sure that David covers it this morning before I pass the microphone? Please call now. Who was that?
I don't know.
Somebody was there. Sorry, it might be Ocean Fever. Anyway, try again. Over. I'm not copying you too well now, but see if you can make contact with them. Over. Okay, ZL1SEA, and I'm going to have to ask for a relay on that one to see what you're trying to get through to me. Diego, did you copy Barney over?
I have a relay copy. Yes, it's monitoring about low frequency, so it takes about, sometimes it takes about 20 seconds before it answers, because the scanner has to go around. So, looks like it doesn't answer, but then if you test the patient, it will come up. Over.
Okay, yes, I thought he had too many frequencies. Maybe at different times of the day he should actually chop a few of those out. But yeah, it sounds like with the speed of the scanner going through, you just have to wait a minute or so for the scanner to pick up the frequency that you're on. So yeah, thanks for raising that, Barney. It's one of those things. But yes, it'd be interesting to see if he keeps all those frequencies. It did look to be a few too many to my mind, anyway. Yeah, thanks, Diego. So just be patient, folks, if you are using ZL1SEA. Okay, I think we will move now to the weather. I know a few of you are interested to know how long you can stop at Minerva and places like that. So here's David.
Well, absolutely. Minerva, fantastic place. And good morning to all of you out there. What is it, Trish? This is our second week of forecasting this season. And I have actually spared all of you upper level data. I think there's going to be groans out there, but I'm going to start talking about 500 millibar charts. I'm going to do it in small doses so that you stay awake. So try to remember that surface weather really is a function of what happens at the upper levels. And a very good part of Gulf Harbor Radio's goal, why we really started this whole thing, is for you folks to understand what happens in Hawaii regarding weather, with the view that you, in future, will not need a router. So many of you do use routers, and I have nothing against them. I can make a few comments regarding that, but it's not the important part. The main thing is that we want you to be in a position that you can look at what information is available out there and make your own decisions and have some confidence in them. And if you start doing that throughout your cruising season this year, and then get ready for departure time at the end of it, you'll be in pretty good shape. And then when you do get data from models, or even if you're using a router, you may question what your router has to say, or you may question the models. So anyway, that's the whole idea, is for you to gain some confidence in your abilities. Now the 500 millibar charts, they tell us what is going to happen on the surface. So for example, an upper ridge creates and maintains surface highs, while upper troughs create and maintain depressions. It's that simple, doing the same thing, this tracking right underneath. Now the highest center by Luncheon, New Caledonia, although it's not at New Zealand yet, nor is it at New Caledonia, but it's just to the west of what that run line would be. Now the tropical depression or disturbance that we've been talking about is still in the development process. Does not have much of a punch at all. It's near about 12 south and 163 east. That's 12 south and 163 east. Only one isobar, one cyclonic isobar so far. The important bit of data regarding these incidents is how much wind shear exists in the middle atmosphere. If you have less than 10 knots of shear, then that is going to encourage development, providing that other requirements to maintain a tropical depression are there. But that's one of the important ones. If you have more than 10 knots, that's going to inhibit development. In fact, if it's much more than that, it tears things apart in the upper levels. So we always look forward to that happening. That way we don't have to endure the high winds. Anyway, so far the shear is quite low, but again, other factors are needed for intensification, and that's not really happening at the moment. Now, the tracking models are implying that the disturbance is going to do a wee bit of an arc. In other words, it's going to go a little bit south and west for a little bit, and then it's going to start south and east. So a little bit of a curve, you can picture that, I think. And that puts it to the west of New Caledonia, and then eventually to the southwest of New Cal. Now, it may not do that. It may head toward Queensland and hang around the coast for a while and dissipate. It just, at this point, doesn't look like it's going to develop into anything. But it shows that even this late in the season, things do develop, and you have to pay attention to them when they do. So, anyhow, we don't have a threat at the moment, but we will follow it very closely, and we'll inform you of developments. You can count on that. And now, jumping to surface weather to Thursday of this week, lunchtime, 9 May, I think that is. The surface high that we've got is on the move now. Its estimated position at that point is going to be roughly 42 south and 175 west. So you can see it's crossed the date line as it's heading east. So this puts it just east of Cook Strait, if you were to look at the chart. And the central pressure is still pretty strong, 1031 millibar. And also at that time, the tropical depression, if it actually gets a name, and so far it does not, it has an INVEST number, which is how one particular outfit keeps track of all these disturbances, but no name. Anyway, that should be near about 15 south and 162 east. And looking at the predictive model, still only one isobar. So again, it doesn't look like much. But what it does do, though, is it does create pressure gradients. And if you've got strong highs in the vicinity, which we do here in New Zealand, as these highs have been very strong this season, that's going to create that pressure differential, and you're going to get even more wind than you normally would with a strong high. So they do play roles, if you will, even though they themselves don't amount to a hill of beans. Now, for those on passage and are at 25 south and higher, by higher I mean toward the islands, You're going to have fresh to probably strong trades out of the east, southeast, give or take on that. Could be southeast, could be east, could be in between. Just depends on your actual position. So winds 20 knots plus is what we're talking about here. This is probably going to continue for most of the week north of 25. And on late Saturday, we have a low and associated frontal band that's going to affect New Zealand. And it's going to extend to New Caledonia and probably will link up with whatever's left of that tropical disturbance. And that will wind up being just to the west-northwest of New Cal at that time. So a low is coming to New Zealand. Frontal band extends north-northwest and links up with the disturbance. Now up in Tonga now we find, shifting gears here, we find partly cloudy skies, and I'm picking this up on satellite imagery. That's the key, one of the key things that I do every evening and every morning is look very carefully at satellite loops. So that's what's happening there. The trough that was over Tonga, northern Tonga, that's moved off just a little bit, but there still is cloud and whatnot over the chain. Now the wind warning is still in place from Tonganet, and so is the heavy swell advisory. So while we may not have troughing conditions, it certainly is pretty windy, so be careful there. Southeast winds 15 to 20, rising 25 at times, and certainly with that rough seas and a pretty large southeast swell is coming in. Now tomorrow, a little bit lighter, maybe southeast 15 to 20. Over in Fiji, our trough is just to the northwest of the country, if you will. If you were to look at imagery, you would see the cloud build up and whatnot. Associated cloud and showers are going to affect the western and the eastern parts of the country. And again, you can see that quite readily if you have access to internet. Now, thanks to the New Zealand high, a strong wind warning does remain in force for all Fiji waters. This is coming from Fiji Met. So you can expect southeast winds 20 to 25, rough seas, and a moderate southerly swell is rolling in. And tomorrow, east to southeast 20 to 25 knots. Over now in Vanuatu, that's showing broken cloud over much of the chain. Advanced cloud from the tropical disturbance is actually making its way over Vanuatu. Surprisingly, neither Vanuatu Met or Fiji Met are discussing this depression at all. Usually one of the two, particularly Fiji, because they are responsible for tropical events in their geographic area, which includes New Caledonia as well. Usually they're on the ball and talk about something, but not a word that I could see. But I can assure you, looking at satellite imagery and also looking at the ASCOT satellite, which is the microwave satellite that gives us the exact wind speed and direction, you could pick up the rotary fashion of the disturbance on that, and then the satellite imagery itself, you actually can see what the clouds are doing. So it's there, but nobody wants to talk about it at the moment. Now, actually, another interesting thing, showing it to Patricia a few minutes ago, you can actually see an eye trying to form. It comes and it goes, but it's trying, not getting there yet. Now, talking about winds from Anisham to Port Vila are going to be southeast around 20 knots, a little bit lighter air north of Port Vila to the banks. We were talking a minute ago about flying fish. No, it wasn't flying fish. It was, who was it in Port Vila? Anyway, whoever it was there. The winds, once you get into the mooring field there in Port Vila, whatever weather you're having bears no relationship to what's outside. It definitely is a protected area. So just because it's nice and no wind doesn't mean that's the case further offshore. But anyway, Wednesday we could see a change. Actually, it's looking like the eastern half, if you were to draw a line straight through Vanuatu, almost north and south, but through the group anyhow, to the east it looks like northeast winds, and then on the west of that line it looks like southeast winds. So this is a classic convergence pattern. So when these two winds collide, then they're going to be of different density, different temperature, different wind speed, and so forth and so on. You're going to get something. And typically it's a little bit of a troughing action, and that develops cloud and showers as well. So we'll see what happens to that. Over in New Caledonia itself, there's plenty of cloud there as well, very high cloud, and it's moving northwest to southeast quite fast. For our lagoon area, mostly easterlies, I would say around 15 knots. Tomorrow, east-southeast, 15 to 20, I think. The loyalties, though, could expect a little bit more wind, 20 knots, gusting to 30, and with a very good chance of showers. Now, those of you on the way to New Caledonia that are still traveling, passing Norfolk Island, the weather at Norfolk at the moment, northeast winds 15 to 20, actually, and there's a chance of a few squalls today. But through the rest of the week at Norfolk, the winds are going to ease considerably, right through Friday, really. They'll be northeast around 10 knots and possible showers as well. And lastly, we'll talk about Minerva Reef. Those of you at Minerva or just about arriving are probably seeing east-southeast winds about 15 to 20. And you could expect passing squalls, even though you are within the circulation of our big fat high that always amazes people from the northern hemisphere when they get down in this neck of the woods and they're in the middle of a high. They don't think it should have clouds and it shouldn't have squalls, but no, we're special down here. That's exactly what does happen, and there's reasons for that, but we'll talk about that another day. So you could expect that. The winds pick up a little bit through Saturday. When I mean by a little bit, I'm talking about maybe a mean wind of 20 knots. So give or take on that. They're backing slightly too as the week goes on, possibly becoming easterly, so give or take on that direction. So between southeast and east and in between, that's roughly what your wind direction is going to be. And these wind speeds and directions will follow you all the way to Tonga or Fiji, and that's all through this week. So if you decide to stop and enjoy the area, snorkeling on the pass is fantastic. Don't worry, you can stay all week and still safely make your way to Tongatapu or Fiji if that's your destination. In fact, you probably could wind up not worrying until about Monday, Tuesday, 13 or 14 May. So you've got plenty of time to enjoy. Now, in that period, while you're getting those fresh winds, you are going to get cloud and you will get the occasional squall. And when you do that, the winds are going to be much greater than what I'm saying. So hopefully you understand that. I think you do. I think most of you do. So enjoy it there. We love it. It's a good opportunity to rest, chat with some other cruisers, and just sit and enjoy, even if it is a bit breezy. Okay, that's it for me. Any questions, comments, whatever, you can come now, and we'll be with you again tomorrow and see what the weather's decided to do then. So here's the boss.
And I hope the streaming has worked okay, because it's been telling me it's been coming on and off, and I think that might be my problem because I decided to use the computer for something else. I wanted to see what sort of boat run Coco was, and it's about a 45-foot catamaran, so it's no wonder Fusio is having a bit of trouble keeping up with them. But anyway, apologies for that. I shall not use the laptop for that job in the future during the next time. Now, if people are moving around in Minerva and come across the boat Kuperi, could you just, and if you're used to putting reports onto YIT, could you just go through that with them, because they are not reporting their weather very well, and there's some wasted space. They've got a message that comes through every time. But anyway, if they are interested to improve, then somebody who knows how to do it might like to explain that to them. All right, that's about it from me. Don't think there's anything else. Is there anything else from you? Please call now. No, nothing heard. So the frequency's all yours, folks. We've got a tiny bit of blue sky coming out, so that bottom part is moving off, and the wind, I think, might be a little bit more than 2 knots, might be up to 5 by now. So have a good day, everybody, and we shall be back with you tomorrow. Cheers all. So, Vandy said it cut out once or twice. Thanks, Vandy. Switching off.